this is a journey for myself with the entrepreneurs that I'm working with, to really sincerely help them in their journey.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So James, so growth, yeah. Like I said, it was a bumpy for me. Yeah, obviously I didn't know, and I have the experience that you have, been in several business, been through this process several times. It was my first time, but I got something works. The school works, but growing too fast.
Yeah, look,
at the end of the day, I end up with more trouble, with more problem making the same money. So I couldn't. I have to even grow a little bit more, and then the things refine, like you said, and then things start to work again. But in the middle,
I think if you wanna dial this in for your audience and say, okay, I'm thinking about growth. What do I do first?
Mm-hmm.
The very first thing I'm going to go back to the thing I said at the beginning, which is 80% of the margin in your business is probably coming from 20% of the things you do, and it's really looking at that 20% in a very specific way and saying, I need to analyze why the customer is buying this and what are all of the costs associated with delivering those products and services. So, because when I go to do more of that product and service, I'm going to have more expenses. And what does that mean? So as an example, in some of my companies, when I would say, okay, well, I'm going to go sell more of A, B, C, and D, well, I knew that over time I was going to have to hire more people. I was going to have additional technology expenses. I knew I could categorize all of the cost associated with rendering that growth because I understood what the business costs were just by what I was doing today.
It seems that the logical thing is just to duplicate exactly what you're doing, and you're not gonna make double the money. It doesn't really work that way.
You gotta know, right? You gotta know what the costs are because I mean, look, if you're gonna hire more people, you're gonna have additional payroll, you're gonna have additional expenses, you're gonna have a place to put them, or they gotta work remotely. You got there's all these elements associated with delivering the product and services, and so that's where I would tell you that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle is in when they go try to get into growth phase, but they don't truly understand the cost of delivery of product or services. Okay. And then they sell a bunch of, stuff because they don't really understand what it is that's driving margin in the business, and they're not making any more money, and they just made their life crazy. Right. And it's like, well, it's because you really didn't understand the 20%. Where was that 20% that was driving 80% of the margin that was going into the business?
Entrepreneurs deserve to be wealthy, happy, and healthy. And I mean, we take more risks than anybody out there.
Sure.
We generate jobs, positional work, and without us, society can actually, it would be very difficult to function. So we deserve to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. However, James, when you started the business, I always said the business is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. And when you start as an entrepreneur at this early stage, when you don't know, you haven't got this skill, and you start to practice to become an entrepreneur, you have this product, and then the people ask you for discount because nobody buy you. The supplier want to charge you more because nobody knows you. Then you're trying to sell your product. You don't really have the proposition. You start to talk with the market to see they want your product. Everybody telling you, I don't want to buy it. I don't want to buy it. I don't like it in this form. All this negativity, all this emotional pain. If the entrepreneur is not able to analyze this negative emotional pain, even can end up in physical pain. People can end up with heart attack,
for sure.
with cancer. We had an entrepreneur here in this broadcast. The guy had 3 businesses, turning over $1 million in each of them, and the guy was vomiting blood. And he told me, Harry, look, I took to a point of my life that said, I'm running this business not running me. And he took 1 year off to Thailand. And now he's okay, he's happy. He came to this
Yeah.
broadcast and he shared his story. So, James, the business literally, because I also experienced that, if you're not careful, can literally kill you. Because at some point in my property business, I have all the tenants want to speak with me always.
Yeah.
Because and I'm like, these people are gonna kill me because when I sleep, then they're too many, and
Well,
they
look,
didn't care. They
I
didn't
think
care.
it's
It was 3 a.m. Whatever they want to speak with me. They knew there was a guy that was Harry, and this Harry say something, they can get what they want. And once the client figured out that, they all want to speak with me. They don't want to speak with the manager. They want to speak with anything. And I'm thinking, oh my God, the clients are gonna kill me. They just don't, there are so many and they all want to speak with me. So I had I had a manager actually, and it was Eva. I said, Eva, look, you are Harry. All this code that's coming is gonna come to me. This is your job. You sort them out the clients, be nice with them, give them, the solution that they want, whatever they're concerned. But they need to talk to you, Eva. You spend the whole day in the phone if you have to. I can't, because otherwise I cannot do
look,
anything else.
I think you're touching on something, Harry, that I can tell you that two things that you said that I think are really critical. One, when you start your entrepreneurial journey, you don't know what you don't know. Okay. After 35 years and 10 companies and 7 exits, I know a little bit more than I did when I started. Okay. 100%. And the last company that I had was probably my most fulfilling and rewarding personal journey as an entrepreneur. And one of the things that I did after I transacted the business was I kind of took a step back and said, well, why? Why was that such a enjoyable, fulfilling experience? And I wrote a little ebook called The Entrepreneur's Guide to Fulfillment. And I use that word fulfillment specifically because I was very fulfilled in that company. And there were 4 personal attributes that I learned that I needed to possess and practice as an entrepreneur in that business. And I'm going to give them to you here in kind of quick order. The first one was gratitude. Gratitude is an easy, I'll say, pillar to work. It's a muscle, it's an attitude of appreciation every day, even when things are hard. And so one of the simplest things that I tell entrepreneurs when I work with them is get yourself out a little journal and keep a gratitude journal. Just simply write down the things, take 5 minutes and write down the things that you're grateful for in that day. And I promise you, if you do that over a period of time, weeks and months, you're going to see patterns. You're going to see things that you're really grateful for. The thing it does is it kind of helps you combat the negativity that's going to naturally come in your business. The second was humility. Humility is a very misunderstood term, particularly in modern culture. And all humility really is admitting that you don't know everything. And it's okay to tell your team members, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. Or what do you think? Give me good counsel. What do you think we should do? And by doing that, you drive trust and transparency, and you actually create a place in your business where the team is willing. They know it's a safe space. They know they can say, I don't know, or, I made a mistake without this severe retribution, right? Okay. And I use an expression, the team gets all the victories and the leader gets the defeat. Okay. And so it's a personality and a methodology to use with your team. The third element is the word team. And I'll contradict that with it's not staff. So think about it. When I say the word team and I say the word staff, which one feels better?
Team, absolutely.
Team. And it doesn't mean that you're not the boss.
Sense that we're doing this together.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not the boss. It doesn't mean that you're not in charge. But what it does do is it gives kind of a democratization and the ability for you to delegate responsibility in your business with expectations that, okay, to use your example, you delegated the management responsibility to a person. She knew it was her responsibility to execute, or Harry was going to be upset.
She did amazing. She did better than me.
Exactly. So when people feel like you have that trust in them, right, and it's a team environment, great things are going to happen. And then look, the last one is what I call servant leadership. I'm a real big believer in that. I wanted to live every day with my employee community, asking them, what are your personal goals? What are your professional goals? What is important to you? What
How can I help
matters
you
to you?
grow?
How can I help you get
grow?
to where you want to go? Okay. And by doing that, it literally freed me to know that I was working on their behalf. And guess what happened, Harry? They would run through walls.
Sweat and tears. They
would do anything that I asked them. Why? Because they knew I would do anything that I could for them.
I have employees, James, that we tell them, guys, why are you still around? You can make more money somewhere else, and you have a lot of experience. You're not tired of working with us. And the team is telling us, Harry, we like to work with you, and we are happy with what you're paying us. So that's what
look,
we get.
I think the point of those four things are just to tell your audience that by operating that way, what I have was being focused on the outcomes for others, right? In living a life of gratitude, focusing on, that I don't have to have. It's okay for me not to have all the answers. Okay. All of a sudden things got to be a lot easier for me. Right.
James, if someone is in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process work?
So look, I created DuBos.me as a resource for regardless of the journey that you're on, whether you're launching your business, you're trying to scale your business, or you're thinking about exiting your business. We have products and programs for all three of those journeys, regardless of where you are in life. And I would tell you that I started this business in a very particular way, because I didn't like some of the things that were happening on the internet, where it almost felt like you couldn't ever get to the person that you were seeing on a reel or on a 100%. Program. And I felt like I needed to make this very personal and put me out there and make.
That's why it's done me.
That's the .me, because I wanted to make it very authentic. Right. And this is a journey for myself with the entrepreneurs that I'm working with, to really sincerely help them in their journey. That's not a guarantee for success. There isn't. If anybody's telling you,
in business,
I've cracked the code,
my goodness,
I've cracked the code of guaranteeing success, stop. Don't do it.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.